I don't know why I made that noise, absolutely no need for it. A little bit. The chances of getting to Norway this year are pretty much non-existent, but there is a chance, you know. We are at the start of April, it's 3 months away, but God only knows where we're going to be in 3 months. Probably not much better than we are now, who knows, I don't know. So I'm still going to continue to plan, I'm still going to continue to prepare for it, but I think in the back of my mind I'm pretty confident it's going to be a no-go. However, let's remain optimistic. In the meantime, I'm cooking up a couple of plans in my mind in case that doesn't work on a smaller scale, perhaps staying in the confines of Germany, maybe going back to the UK, I don't know, I really don't know. And it's they're all things that we can do pretty much on the fly without any sort of major planning. So we'll have to wait and see. So the Norway plan remains intact, however unlikely it is. If that's a no-go, then we just step it down and look what is available, to the point where if nothing's available, then hey, so be it, you know. Maybe later at the end of the year we'll get a couple of at least a couple of weekends away. Can't complain really when you consider what's going on, but that doesn't stop me from checking out my loadout. Right, there's about 1 million YouTube videos out there on what kit to take when you go touring and when you go camping, and some of them, you know, they're taking like 5 kilos worth of kit, 15 kilos worth of kit. Some people at the other end of the spectrum are taking tons and tons and tons of kit, weighing God knows what. I think I'm sort of as a sort of guy somewhere in the middle, and I'm going to look at all the kit I take, but I'm not going to actually review every item at all, because like I say, there's 1 million videos on every bit of kit I've got. Somebody's done a good review on it. So have a look if you're interested. Just out of curiosity, I carry on my bike, in terms of weight, all this equipment here. This is including also my top box, which you can't see in front of you. Less toolkit comes in at 47 kilos. Now that sounds like a horrendous amount of weight, but my panniers, so these two here, and a top box, plus the fuel that I carry, the fuel for my camping stove, and the 2.5 litres of water I carry with me, come in at 22 kilos. So effectively the metal panniers and a top box are rocking up at about 18-19 kilos before you put anything in them, so bear that in mind. So actually the kit that I take only weighs in at 25, which some may consider quite a lot, some may consider that's reasonable. So like I say, I'm somewhere in the middle. So let's have a look then at what I take. So the first thing on the list you see here is a Helinox chair. Like I say, very expensive, and you notice on my last video, if you've watched it, Jason's actually, the legs broke, the cord inside the legs broke. That was basically due to the ground was quite wet. It sat in it, it sunk in, he'd pulled it out quickly and it snapped the cord. But he said since then he's been on YouTube and actually very easy to repair. So yeah, excellent bit of kit. I won't leave home without it, especially when you consider this may be a luxury item for some people, but to me, you spend nearly half or more than half your time actually in the campsite. We typically ride from 9 o'clock in the morning through till about 4 or 5 o'clock, so we're spending well over 12 hours in the campsite. So while you're there, why not have a bit of luxury? Right, the second item is another Helinox. It's the Cot Light, and I don't think I've gone out and brought all this stuff all at once. This has been purchased over years because I couldn't afford to buy all this kit. Pretty high-end kit. This is their lightweight cot, very robust, like it, fairly comfortable. Obviously it can't really fail on you, and it's, well, like it says on the tin, it's lightweight. Again, I use that as my main staple bed. What I've got in here is not anything from sea to summit. All it is a tarp, and effectively we use that for when it's raining, etc., or when it's really hot as a shade, and it gives us a bit of an admin area once we set up in our campsite. And I've put it in this bag because the bag it came in was way too tight, and to be honest, I'm quite lazy, and packing away things super tight is just a pain in the arse. So this allows me to quickly pack it away. I'll explain what I've done to it to allow the setup to be really quick. So to allow a really quick setup, before you go out on the ground, here's your tarp, probably rectangular, and it's going to have various fixing points on it, like that. What you need to do is get some kind of either paracord or bungee cord, and then attach it on however many sides you want. It's obviously minimum 4, possibly 6. To obviously put this up and to make sure it's freestanding, which is advisable because you can't always guarantee you're going to have trees and things to fix it to, you're probably going to need some kind of a tarp pole. They'll come in various lengths. Measure the length of your tarp pole, and then basically measure the same length on all of your paracord or bungee cord, whatever you're using. Then pre-attach a hook. Then all you have to do when you get to the campsite is lay it out on the ground, peg the 4 corners or 6 corners out, and then simply uphold, or push up, should I say, your poles, and there, hey presto, within a matter of 2 minutes you've got a freestanding administrating area where you can sort yourself out, cook under it, and if it's raining, etc. So as you can see, this is just an British Army issue poncho, very robust, great bit of kit. You can see I've pre-taped up and attached the bungee cord here, and that is to the length of my tarp pole that I'm using to allow speed of setup. Simple as that, but saves a lot of time and messing about. If you don't want to do that and do fix it, for example, to your bikes because it suits you on the ground better, then you've got an extra bit of bungee cord I've added on here. Why am I using bungee cord and not paracord? Yes, it's heavier, but it's just so much more flexible, and in the wind it allows it to keep it nice and tight, if you know what I mean. Right, here you can see the tarp poles. I think they're from Vexel, I think they're a German company. I've only got one that's about adjustable, and the other one's a fixed length, which is a bit silly. So one side of the poncho is slightly less high than the other, but dead simple. Nice and lightweight aluminium, shock cordage inside to fix them. Okay, next up I've got my tent. This is a Jack Wolfskin 2-man tent, 3-season. I'd say it's not the most expensive tent in the world. It's not the cheapest tent in the world. But if you're going to get a tent and you're fairly serious, then try and make sure you get aluminium poles, preferably DAC poles, because they're a bit more resilient and will last you a long time. I've been using this for about 4 years now, no real issues. Quite a good bit of kit, and like I say, as a million other videos will tell you, if you're motorcycle camping, get a 2-man tent. Okay, 3 other things that I carry in the waterproof dry bag. Number 1 is another little bag in here. I think I've just got my head torch and some spare batteries. There you go, nothing special. I don't use any other kind of light source, and to be honest, if I do go to Norway, I won't need any light source because it's daylight most of the time. I've got this, which is a kitchen sink, which you may think is taking the piss a bit, but if we're going wild camping, this allows us to then get some local source water, take it away from the source, wash our pots and pans up, and if need be you can actually get a wash and shave out of this as well, pack it away nice and easy. And finally, crucial bit of kit, a small waterproof bottle for those moments when you need to take a piss in your tent because you're not going to walk 40 kilometers to the local toilets in the campsite. Okay, moving on. Now we're looking at my sleeping bag. This is a snug pack sleeping bag. I think it's called the Kestrel. It's again a 3-season sleeping bag. It doesn't originally come in this bag, but like I said previously, I brought a slightly larger compression sack. It just makes it that little bit easier to pack it away in the mornings, because when you're setting up camp, 14 times, putting it up, putting it down, it can get a bit tedious, so why make life difficult? So it's a 3-season sleeping bag. It's from Snug Pack. Fantastic bit of kit. To supplement that, what I've purchased, and I've only used it once so far, which was on our last little outing when it was a little bit colder, is a fleece lining for it. Quite bulky, but this takes that sleeping bag from a 3-season into a 4-season. Like I said, I've tested it once, and to be honest, I'm going to take it with me all the time, because you never know, unless you're going somewhere extremely hot, then obviously you won't need it, but if you're unsure, it's better to be warmer than not warm, if you know what I mean. Fairly obvious really. Okay, on the sleeping front, finally, what we've got here is a roll mat, effectively. This is Sea to Summit Comfort Plus self-inflating. Now you may be asking, well, hang on a minute, you've just shown me that you've got a camp cot and you're taking this as well. The camp cot is comfortable. This is comfortable. Put them both together, you've got super comfort. But I'm testing this at the moment because I've only had it since Christmas. I don't know if I trust it, to be honest. The camp cot itself cannot really break as such because it can't get a hole in it. It won't matter. This can puncture, obviously, although you do get a repair kit with it. I will probably end up only taking one of those, but like I say, currently I'm testing it, but I might take both. I don't know. But either way, if you're going to use a camp cot, bear in mind that air can circulate underneath it, making it quite cold, so you will need probably some kind of roll mat or something to put on top of it to keep the comfort out. So I'm either going to go with one or the other, maybe both. I'm undecided. Okay, next up we've got a Trangia stove. This is the 27, I think, which is the slightly smaller one. It looks quite new. Like I said, there's lots of videos on these. Now, why have I gone with a Trangia, which, when you look at it, is quite a bulky item. But what it does is it gives you the ability, if you're just cooking freeze-dried food and rehydrating it with water, then I'd probably say something like a jet boil is ideal because it's a lot smaller. But obviously with a Trangia, you can also cook fresh food with it. If push comes to shove, I can wash out of one of the bowls in it. And it just gives me that bit of flexibility that maybe a smaller camp stove doesn't. So I like it, it's robust. Previously, I got one of these, which is the gas adapter for it, which is equally brilliant bit of kit. Works really well, obviously gives you full control over your cooking, and it's nice and light, no problems with that. But I actually binned using it after a while, simply because we're out on a tour and I ran out of gas. Now, contrary to popular belief, I've heard a lot of videos that tell you, yeah, gas is widely available everywhere. Well, it is, but actually when you're on a tour, time may be quite precious and you don't want to spend time when you could be rocking through the mountain twisties looking for a specialised camping shop that stocks the type of gas canisters you want. So I switched to using the standard issue fuel burner you get with the Trangia. It is slower, it is a little bit more tedious, it doesn't burn as clean, you haven't got as much control over it. But with the fuel in here that I have, that will last me 12 to 14 days, and the fuel is obviously readily available in most supermarkets and petrol stations, so I've gone with that, a bit old school, but it works for me. Next up is my towel. This is a Sea to Summit microfiber towel, tech towel. The selling point for this was simply it came in this rubberized case, as what I've found is I normally get a shower in the morning at a campsite, use my towel, towel's wet, bit of a nightmare, and then I stick it in a pannier and it just gets stinking. So obviously microfiber towel will prevent that, it should be antibacterial, but if it is piss wet through, I put it in this rubber case, wait till I get to the next place I'm stopping and I can dry it out properly without it contaminating the rest of my kit. So quite a good idea, but again, not the cheapest, but it works for me. Wash shaving kit, dead simple, quite a big bag that actually, but shower gel, usual stuff, foot powder, insect repellent. I keep my medication there, aspirin, stuff like that in case you need it. You've got a bit of an headache and dehydrated. Nothing special on that. Next thing I keep in the pannier is just a little utility bag, basically odds and sods. Bin bags, obviously, to keep the campsite clean. Sponge, some bottle there with some fairy liquid in it to wash my kit. Clothes washing kit in a paste. Spare matches, spare lighter, things like that just go in there. Just general stuff I need at the campsite that I might not need all the time. I'll just lob it in that utility bag, it's quite good. Okay, moving on to my top box. All I keep in my top box is basically my clothes, so I can grab them real quick when I get in the campsite. Set of Crocs, they're the only shoes I will now take with me. You can use them in the shower, you can crut about with them, obviously. They're not exactly fashionable, but they absolutely do the job. Next up, pretty much all my clothes fit in one bag. I'll run through it. I have two pairs of like hiking trousers, if you like. There's only one, I've got the other pair on now. I've got a mid layer for when I'm riding my bike. I normally have 2 t-shirts, which are obviously synthetic. Try and get everything synthetic, just aids with drying. Same with your pants, synthetic underpants, always good. 2 pairs, sorry, wrong, 3 pairs. I'm wearing 1 and I carry 2 spare. 1 base layer, obviously I'll be wearing 1 on the motorbike, so 2 base layers for riding a motorcycle, again synthetic. Socks, 3. I normally carry 2 thin pairs of hiking socks and then 1 slightly thicker. So I'll be wearing 1, 2 spare. And that's pretty much how I run. Same with underwear, 1 wearing, 2 spare. Woolly hat if it gets cold. And what else have I got in here? And a waterproof like running top, which I use in campsite if it's a bit wet. But it's also windproof, which is quite handy. And so finally we've got my tank bag. This is a Wunderlich Elephant. It's not waterproof, so that's why on the right hand side I keep a spare waterproof cover for it. On the left hand side here I just keep my cloth and visor cleaning kit. Predominantly in here I've got my electrical kit, GoPro stuff. Excuse the child laughing, crying in the background. And that's where I keep all my electrical kit, spare memory cards and the like. And charger, obviously charging on the way, so when I get to the campsite I can obviously charge up comms kits and things like that. And that is pretty much it, and I will take that regardless if the tour's a weekend, 5 weeks, 2 weeks, it doesn't matter. I take all that kit and that pretty much sees me in a happy place. It's a nice house, isn't it? That's also a nice house. I'd rather have that one. I could stand out on that balcony naked in the mornings, admiring my fields. Probably get arrested as well, actually.